into live stream because I'll tell you when it actually shows on my Facebook as live.
Oh no, don't do that because it'll be live before that.
All right. Okay. We are live. Woo.
We're just going to settle in for a minute. Just let the delay catch up. So we're live now, but like in a few moments, it should then start to pop up on Facebook as well.
Okay.
Um, I really want to open this up and start by saying I'm talking to, without a doubt, the most courageous individual I've ever met in my entire life. And I mean that literally the most. I've never heard of a story like this. I've never come across anybody in real life who's been through this that you have and come out as amazingly as you have, and still journeying, still doing everything that you need to do and want to do, building the lifestyle of your dreams. And for anybody who's going to sit with us throughout this whole talk, I think prepare to have your mind blown and be inspired because that's what we want for you, and that's why Sam's doing this. It's just a massive honour to be here for the closing of a really, really profound and deep and meaningful chapter of your life and setting the stage for the next one, which takes everything to a whole other level. So it's a massive, massive honour, and I love you loads, and I'm really, really buzzing about this.
Oh,
So yeah, if you just want to like let people know in your own words why you want to do this and what it means to you, that would be beautiful.
okay. Thank you for that, Mickey. Yeah, how to make me cry before I start. Um, I knew you were gonna. Um, yeah, so thank you to everybody that is watching this. I know a lot of my followers and a lot of my people know bits that I've shared with them about my life and the traumas that I've been through, but this is, like Mickey said, kind of the final. There's been some things that I haven't shared that I feel like I really need to, for me to step into my full authentic self and to hopefully, I'm not doing this for likes and for publicity. I'm doing this for me mainly to let go. I need to let go of these things that I've been carrying, but also I feel that it will really inspire and help others as well. So that is my story and why I want to do this today.
Yeah. And as you continue to embark on this journey, what beautiful, a beautiful knowing that none of that was for nothing. And there's going to be really beautiful, positive ripples reaching out far and wide into the world because of who you've become and or who you always were and who you're now thoroughly, fully expressing and bringing out into the world and helping other people with it in more ways than one.
Yeah.
Um,
I
so
think
if you're
I
ready,
think
we can.
that's yeah, I think that's what's really important for me. I mean, like I've said to you in the time we've worked together, Mickey, is that none of what I've been through can be for nothing. Do you know? It's like it's been traumatic, but I want to now use that to help others, which is what I am starting to do. So yeah, that's why. Thank you for that.
Are you ready to dive in? Do you want to
I'm
take a breath?
ready. I'm about as ready as I'm ever gonna be. Big girls pants on and seatbelts buckled.
Let's just start at the beginning because it's. I think when people hear stories like heroic stories like this, and this is like for those of you that don't know what the hero's journey is, this is a bona fide, 100% bona fide hero's journey. And there's got to be a book, Sam, about all of this. A really, really good, deep, long book about getting into every nook and cranny and all the intricacies of everything, because it will inspire millions. Um, but like any real hero's journey, I think a lot of people wonder when they hear it, what happened in the beginning that set up a life like that? What must have happened as a kid? And we know that your upbringing was what you would call, especially for like 70s, 80s era that we were brought up in, was pretty ordinary, right? Pretty normal upbringing. Do you want to talk a little bit about that and what it was like for you growing up and being at school?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So yeah, grew up to amazing parents. Well, for real, mum and dad divorced when I was young, but remarried. So brought up by a couple of amazing parents who I love dearly, dearly. And yeah, I was an only child, so I suppose there was all the sort of only child things, a bit lonely. But nothing out of the ordinary, really. Just got on with it. I was quite a good girl. My mum might disagree with this. Good girl, well, maybe not a good girl at home. I apologise to her constantly for me now having kids and knowing what it's like. But anyway, kind of a good girl at school. I always conformed. I did as I was told. I was a bit of a teacher's pet. I was like, I wanted to be the best at everything I did. It's like anything I do in life, I wanted to achieve, I wanted to do well, I always wanted to do better. So I was a real kind of driven kid, but quite a shy one as well. I struggled, believe it or not, people that know me these days, it's because of where I've been as to how I am now, but struggled a lot as a kid to fit in, quite shy. So yeah, that's kind of like my early years. But no, nothing out of the ordinary, good girl, typical growing up in the 80s kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah. And then things at some point started to take a significant shift, but it happens quite gradually, right?
Yeah.
Do you want to talk a little bit about where you went from just being the good girl to, oh, this is maybe not so good girl to, okay, this is not a good girl to, oh wow, this is actually quite the bad girl thing that's going on. And you want to kind of talk about your process going
Yeah.
through that.
Yeah, so I suppose shifts started when high school started. I think like any kid going to high school, like my boy at the minute, struggling massively with the transition. Now we moved to the area that I went to the high school in, so I didn't know anybody at all. I think there was one girl I knew, so it was brand. I was thrown right in with no friends. Um,
Well,
Obviously I had the painful shyness, but I kind of managed to make friends at school. I had a lovely core little group of friends. There was only a few of us, but we were in a good little group that we knocked about in. Um, so I suppose, I mean, and at school though, and even through high school, really, up until the age of about 15, so just before I left high school, I still conformed and I was sports Billy. Like, I mean, obviously as a PT now, I loved my sport. I was so competitive. I mean, I'm still competitive at everything, but I was so competitive. I never lost a sports day at school, never lost a race. I even got like scouted for Leeds to run for Leeds, started training with them. But it was kind of about that time because I was very good at what I did. I was very fast, did the hurdles and did the sprint. Like I said, never lost a race because I had the drive to do it. And then started training. It was training every night, and it was a lot. And then he started putting me in competitions. And then I was the small fish in a big pond then, rather than the big fish. And I didn't like it because I wasn't winning. So I lost all motivation for that because I didn't win immediately. I wasn't immediately good at it, so I didn't keep going. Um, and also at that point, we were starting to knock about on parks, drink alcohol, and I didn't want to miss out on that because I was kind of this girl that had to fit in, wanted to fit in, couldn't say no, and would do what I needed to fit in with the crowd. So I hated that I wasn't hanging about with people. So that kind of came to an end. So yeah, that's like my high school. I mean, I conformed. I got all my GCSEs. I just passed. I wasn't highly academic. Loved my art. Loved school. Never got a detention, so I was a little goody two shoes. So high school was relatively all right. I got bullied a bit, by some mean girls, like you do. I used to knock around with boys all the time just because girls were bitches. To be fair, excuse my French. Shouldn't swear on live, should I? Girls are like that, aren't they? So I used to knock around with the boys, which caused a lot of bullying, but it was nothing like that. It was just I had friends that were boys. And that was it really at high school up until about 15. So yeah, high school was relatively high schoolish,
and then
you
it
know.
started to, what happened when it started to change?
So I suppose at 15, well, 15, so I met my first love 15. He wasn't at my school, and I won't name names, but he needs airtime. So yeah, he was older than me, lived in the area, and I fell in love. I fell in love with him deeply, madly. He was, like I say, he was older than me. He played the guitar, he was handsome. Um, And I was like knowing what I know now, didn't know then. I had this massive anxious attachment to clinging on to people and things, and he was my one, and my I'm also a type 2 Enneagram. That won't mean a lot to a lot of people, but obviously for us it does. So yeah, I had my person, I had my one, and that was it then. We were in love, and um again, things were pretty normal, but then that's when started going in pubs and started going out clubbing. Obviously, I'd already started drinking alcohol on parks with my friends, as kids did in the 80s. Kids don't these days, which is an amazing thing. I mean, I'm not suggesting all kids did, but we did.
I
Um,
certainly did.
you know what I mean? I can't speak for everybody. But dabbling in a bit of weed and things like that. Then met Andy, and then started clubbing, started going clubbing, hit the rave scene, old school raver, as people who come to my club size class know. Um, Still crazy, still dance around on the stage with glow sticks. But we got engaged and we were happy. So from the age of kind of like 15 to 18, everything was just a normal growing up, delving into things a little bit. So yeah, have
So this was experimenting with different ways of getting high on nights out, clubbing, and doing that with a bunch of friends, with your one, with your partner,
yeah.
and you with your fiance, I guess, at that point.
Mm.
So how old were you at that point?
So that was kind of going up to my 18th birthday, so like about 16,
Right.
17 times. So yeah, just feeling that. I mean, anyone that raved in the 80s will no, what be in the it'll be in the 90s, won't it? Sorry, raved in the 90s will, it was like a sense of belonging, a little bit of a coming together of people, of everyone not having a care in the world, and everything was forgotten about, and it was kind of quite a good time, like, yeah. But then there were always the other side of it, wasn't there? Good at the
So there's how did that turn into a slippery slope? Because a lot of us have been there, and there's probably a lot of people listening to this who've been there, the clubbing years era, partying and getting high and late nights and maybe staying up for 2 days and all of that, and making loads of friends, having really good conversations. But then these people are also familiar with the other side of it, where it's like a little bit, the coming down and being in a house full of strangers, and sometimes those strangers are a little bit heavier into this stuff than you are, and then it's like, oh, I don't really like how that looks, and like wanting to get out of there and feeling paranoid, and there's all of that side of things, and like,
Mm,
yeah, what happened for you then that you would kind of call the slippery slope? Because at this point, a lot of people would gauge that as the slippery slope starting, but I think a lot of people go there and it never slopes into
mm,
anything. They're completely
no,
fun. They carry on, everything's just normal, they live a very ordinary life. But something happened for you that was a slippery
yeah.
slope.
Well, around that time for me, it never really was an issue. It was just we'd go out and that
Yeah.
was okay. Yeah, did what we did, come down, that were fine. So that wasn't an issue. Then everything changed at around I struggle with dates sometimes, but around late 18, early 19 for me. So and my soulmate, my first love, just broke up with me for no reason. It just like split up with me, broke up, no reason, just didn't want to be with me anymore. So this plunged me into this kind of like, oh my God, what's he broken up with me for? What have I done? And absolutely, I mean, we've been together, what, 4 years, 5 years. So yeah, there was no explanation for it, and it just came out of the blue. Um, so I was in a spiral. I was heartbroken. It was the end of the world. You all know when you're that age, it's, plus in my person, it abandoned me, all this abandonment. And
And it was your thing as well, right? Your thing was the belonging and needing to be
exactly.
loved,
And
and yeah.
yeah, and as we know through Enneagram, through my personality type being a type 2, it's all about my belonging, my person, being abandoned, and that was just my massive core wound. So yeah, so broke up with me. It was awful. And again, I can't really remember how long, but I was psychotic. It was like I'd be waiting outside his house for him to come home. I'd be following him in the street. So glad I've sorted myself out now. So anyway, but yeah, I was like really, really, really suffered with that. And then we ended up getting back together about, again, I struggle with times, but I think it was a month or a couple of months, and then we got back together. Um, yeah, so we got back together. About the age of 19, I would say that it was when we got back together. Um, and then things just changed then. So, um,
And you found out at this point why he'd left you,
yeah,
and then you found out once you got back together, oh, that's why he left. But then things took a shift, right? And do you want to take a breath before you get into this part? 'Cause this is a big part that you really wanted to focus on. I know that, and
no,
um,
so I'll get straight into it. So, yeah,
okay,
so we got back together. And he was different. It was weird. He was falling asleep all the time. He was like, just, it was weird. It was unusual. And I was quite, believe it or not, naive to things like that. I was quite naive. I didn't know what other things were. So he was falling asleep. So I questioned him about it. And it was like he said that he'd been put on antidepressants by the doctor when we broke up and they made him drowsy. So things just didn't ring true. And then I discovered he was on heroin. And this is why he broke up with me, because he didn't want me to be anywhere near it. So he kind of tried to save me a little bit, but then he loved me and wanted to be with me as well. So yeah, I discovered that when we got back pretty quickly after we got back together.
and then what happened from that? So how do you deal with that? So there's this person, you love them a lot, you're really deeply connected, you've got the whole anxious attachment thing, you've been like waiting for him, and I know what that's like, the anxious attachment thing. I've dealt with it with people I know and things like that as well, when it's like your whole world feels like it's gone, and then when they come back it's like, oh, that's everything come back, but then you find out there's this that's happening, which even in those hedonistic cultures and that we were kind of a part of, and people are taking all sorts of things, that's still the darker one that people don't want
Yeah.
to go near, right? And so yeah, how was that? How did you take that news? What happened for you when you found out
Oh
about that?
God, it was just awful. Like you say, it's kind of like the drug no one touches. You don't touch that. That's dirty. You're dirty if you touch that. That's like over the line. You cross the line. Yeah, it was awful, and I didn't know what to do. But I loved him so much that I couldn't walk away. Um, yeah, I loved him so much that I couldn't walk away, and I didn't value myself enough at that point to actually say, walk away, walk away
Yeah,
now. So I
I think
stuck
this
around.
is this again, that theme keeps coming back as well, doesn't it? It's like how much you value yourself, how much you believe your worth
Mm,
is guiding your decisions, and this attachment to somebody else and needing to belong and needing to be loved, and
mm.
like this is the thread that's been running through, right?
Yeah,
And what did that lead to, if you want to kind of talk a little bit about how that
yeah,
shaped
yeah.
you and your
So
choices?
yeah, so like I said, just the really unhealthy attachment that I had to him, this like that was hanging me on. So yeah, I started dabbling myself, thinking, oh, I'll just have a little bit. It's not going to do much. I'll just have a little bit, and it won't do much. And I did. I had a little bit. And that's all I did. I had a little bit each day and I remember it so clearly. For 7 days, like at first I was like, no, 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 no. I used to just be around him doing it, and then I tried it, and then tried the tiniest little bit. It took 7 days. Took 7 days for me to be addicted. Um, and I woke up, and I'll never forget. We're actually we were together. We were obviously back together at that point, and I woke up one morning feeling this illness. Like you could never explain it unless you'd been there. You honestly couldn't. The hold that this drug has on you, the physical pain that you wake up with, it's like flu 10 times over, but in anxiety as well. So your body is shivering, you're aching, you're hurting, everything hurts. And I woke up and I was just like, God, what's wrong with me? God, I feel so poorly. Um, and he turned around and he just says, "Ah, that's it. You're addicted now too." And I went, "What do you mean I'm addicted?" And that was it. From that day, I was addicted. Um,
Wow.
and I was so naive. I really was so naive. I wasn't really very streetwise. I was not clued up at all. I didn't even really know what it'd do. I just thought it'd be like taking a pill on a night out, you're fine, you have a bit of come down, you come back. But the addiction grips you immediately. There's nothing like it. And it's not even really worth it. If I'm honest with you, the buzz you get out of it is nothing compared to the trauma it causes.
How do you reconcile that being so competitive and, like you say, the good girl and probably kind of people looking towards you? And I know people do that now, and we'll get more into that later, but I know people look at you now and they look up to you and they see something in you that they want more of. And it sounds like you had that at school as well, and that's like being a thing that you've had a lot. How did you manage to reconcile? Because we kind of have to somehow be able to hold these two identities. Did you completely get rid of one, or did you just keep telling yourself you were going to pull through and it's all right? Like, what was going on for you in that space?
I just became a person that I didn't recognize anymore and that nobody recognized. What I put my parents through is unimaginable. You know, I had a good job at the time. Basically, then what happens with the heroin is that you start taking a little bit, but the more you get on. So basically, that day I found out I was addicted, felt so poorly. Immediately, you have it, and it's gone. It's like, oh. So by that point, you're not even taking it for a buzz. You're taking it for relief. You're taking it to
Yeah,
stop this pain, to literally stop this pain. But then as you go on, it builds and builds, and you need more and more. So it then got to, I had a good job after school. I had a good job. I left school, had a good job that paid well. All my wages went on that. And then I couldn't fund it anymore with my wages. We needed more. It kind of got to a point as well where the partner was just relying on me. I was the one that was the cash cow then, to be honest. He'd sort of passed the point of no return. Um, and then I ended up doing horrible things and breaking the law to make money to feed my habit, which and then lost my job. Yeah, became a
it, re-
person that I just didn't recognize.
it really brings up as well. It's like how certain qualities and traits that we have can be misguided. And it's like you took your loving, devoted self, which is a really beautiful part of who you are. You're really loving and really devoted, and it got caught in a really unhealthy relationship. And you're a leader who takes action and makes things happen. And then you that got misguided and made into the one who gets the supplies, the one who takes control of all of that. So these two qualities never left you, but they were put into like less healthy places, right? It's like almost like a misplaced loyalty, a misplaced quality
Yeah.
that you have. Um, so I don't know how much you want to get into this piece of it, but like, what sort of crimes does one need to commit, or what was that like? Having to do that, knowing that it was against your personality. What was your relationship with that? How did that express itself? How did it manifest? And just with as
I
much detail or as
suppose,
little detail as you want, obviously.
yeah, no, that's fine. It was, and this sounds terrible what I'm going to say. Nothing terrible in what I've just said, but I'm pretty good at whatever I do, doing well. Whatever I put my mind to, I can do it well. So I kind of, I mean, it would just, I say just, I'm not downplaying anything here at all. Um, but like shoplifting and, doing things like that and making money that way.
Yeah.
Um, so like what you would call petty crimes. No
Yeah.
crime is petty, and I'm not condoning any of it at all. But that's where it started, doing things like that. Doing things, stealing from my family was something I did as well. That's one thing that I've never really been able to forgive myself for, because it was horrible, and they stood by me constantly. Um, so yeah, that was something that I'm very, I'm, I've let go of the shame now, but yeah, something that I wasn't very proud of.
Yeah. Thanks for sharing that. I know that was difficult. I appreciate that. Right here with you, 100%. So where did that lead? So you've gone from the sports icon, the person people are looking, the performer, the achievist sort of person, and then you've gone into this relationship that was great and lots of partying, and then it devolved a little bit, and then you broke up, or no, or you got back together, and then it devolved, and then it was like, okay, that led to crime, where you took the lead on that, and you was the one doing it. Where did all that then lead? Is it
So,
continued with that?
so we'd probably get to me being about 1920, I would say now.
Right. So all of this happened in 3 years
Really
ish,
quickly. Yeah, from the age of 19 to 21 is was this horrible
couple of
stage.
years.
So
Okay.
it kind of culminated pretty quickly. It did go quicker, which is what I think you would if you speak to any heroin addict, see how quickly life goes on. So about the age of late 19, I would say that me and Andy broke up. Because it was just, oh, sorry, I said his name. So basically it was, yeah, we went our separate ways. Life was just horrific then. I'd kind of left home then or got moved out of home. And to be honest, I'd started spending a little bit of time in prison for the crimes that I committed. So I was, like I say, because there was small offences, spending. I was getting sent to prison, so I actually started going to prison at that time as well.
When you say started going to prison, does that mean like there was several of them and there were short sentences and then the previous crimes were coming back to bite you, or was the crime still going on a little bit in between, or what was going
So
on there?
yeah, it was kind of never ending because I had to keep feeding this habit. So it was like I would maybe get caught for shoplifting, and then they sort of let you off a bit, and then when you get caught again, then you go to prison. But it'll like be for a couple of weeks, to try and teach you a lesson. Never does because it's never long enough, and um, you never get the help really when you go in for little sentences like that. Yeah, you've got to go cold turkey, but then you come out and you just commit another crime because you need money to feed your habit. It's never long enough to get it out of your mind. Um, so yeah, and then I was just in a horrible, horrible place. I was either in like a dirty council flat that I lived in, or bail hostels. I spent a lot of time in where you'd get bailed and put in a bail hostel, like where you have to be in at a certain time. I was just mixing with, and I don't hold any, I would never ever judge anyone like that, but I just never felt, I did not feel like I belonged there. And I'm not saying that from a big-headed point of view
No,
because
I hear you, yeah.
we've all been somewhere, but my upbringing, when I sat with these people, these amazing people, like say in prison or in the bail hostels, they all had a story to tell, and it's like, but their stories were always so much more tragic than mine. And I would sit there and think, oh my God, I've got parents that love me. I went to school, I had a lovely home, I had food on the table, but a lot of these people have never had that chance. And I felt like such a, what the what am I doing? What am I doing with my life? But you just can't get out of it. It's impossible. It's impossible to walk away from heroin. It really is, unless you die, or go where I went. So yeah, it's just an impossible, horrible situation.
Wow. How long was that? How long were the prison sentences and the things going on? So what sort of
So the
ages are we
so the
looking at?
smaller sentences, I would say, started at around. God, I remember my 18th birthday. So I would think it would be like after I turned 18, sort of towards 19, like I say, it all becomes a bit of a blur. Around 18, 19, so literally 2 years from 19 to
Yeah.
21, I would say was full addiction.
So the prison sentences were within that all of that time
Yeah,
as
they're
well.
all
Got
within
you.
the time. I mean, it went so quick and escalated so fast. It was all within that time. And then it was kind of at age 21, it all came to a head.
And what does that look like? So when all of that comes to a head, because we could look at that and think that's already come to a head. That's pretty like deep in it.
Yeah.
Um, I was just
So,
thinking, I'm just going to say now before we move on, like when you were saying all these other people, as poor people had such difficult, tragic lives that led them to where they got to, and yours was all pretty much yet to come at that
Mm,
point. You had
yeah,
loads more tragedy to come, and like it's not that you didn't have it, you just had it at a different stage of life,
yeah. It's
which is
like
just
they'd grown up with this trauma. They'd grown up with this, probably grown up with like parents that were heroin addicts, and they had
yeah,
no chance at life. They'd been brought up in that life. So you could just see these poor people didn't know how to exist outside it. Whereas I was like, I know how life is and how good it is, but once the drug gets a hold of you, there's just no escaping it. It's so then, yeah, like I say, at 21, um, I basically, after I broke up with my love, then obviously the shoplift, I couldn't, that all these things were happening, everything was escalating, and I got brought in. I'm trying to think of my words to describe it. Brought into a gang, so to speak, and I was basically a drug runner. I got involved in a group of drug dealers who, yeah, um, I went out on the streets and did the running for them. Basically, they paid me in my drugs and sent me out to take all the risks. So when I was 21, I got sentenced. I got arrested for dealing drugs, dealing heroin, and I got sentenced to 5.5 years in prison. And that was it. That was the breaking point.
that's when it comes to a
It was the
head.
finale.
Can I just zone in on that moment when you're in the courtroom and they tell you, were you in the courtroom? Is this how it went down?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So I did actually get
And
remanded into custody when I got arrested. So there was no bail. I'd exhausted all my. It's like do not pass go, do not collect
okay,
£200. That it was very much directly to jail. So I'd been in there for a little while waiting for the court case. And yeah, so but obviously thinking, oh, I'll serve my time now. I'm just little old me. It's just me. They'll see me. They'll see who I am. I'm a good girl. And yeah, and then he sentenced me, and I was just like, what? What did you just say? And it was, yeah, 5.5 years. And I was just like, 5.5 years, 5.5 years. And if I could see that judge now, I would kiss him and I would say thank you so much for that because I needed it. I would have been dead if it wasn't for that sentence. And as much as it broke me, it saved my life as well. So I'm super grateful if that judge ever sees it. He won't know I am, but I'm super grateful to him for giving me that sentence because it's what heroin addicts need. They either need a sentence or sadly most of them will die. It's a bit of a sweeping statement, but generally how it goes.
wow.
So yeah.
Were your family in the courtroom with you?
Um oh, gosh, I can't quite remember. It got to a point with my family where they'd supported me for so long. It all got a little bit too much for them, to be honest.
Yeah,
So I
but
don't actually think they were there at sentencing. They were there for a lot of all of my early years,
yeah,
tried to help me, to help me, to help me, to help me, and they couldn't take it anymore. I wasn't helpable.
yeah.
I was past help. So they just saw the little girl. It broke the heart. I know it broke the heart. So no, they weren't. I do remember telling them about it. But no, we weren't in contact at that point. But obviously, then I got taken back to the prison after the sentencing.
So I just want to zone in on one thing that you mentioned there, that there's still the identity. You said, "Oh, it's just little old me. I'm a good girl. Like they're not going to throw the book at me, or you know." So there's something going on there. I'm I love psychology, and this is like my area of
Mm.
interest and things. But there was something that you'd held on to, wasn't there, throughout that whole thing? There must have been a part of you that didn't forget a part of you. There was an identity piece, which is, I don't belong in this hostel. I don't belong in prison. It's not going to happen to me because I'm not that sort of person. Somehow it's like you'd kept hold of something where it wasn't like, of course I'm going to live in a hostel. Of course, I'm going to go to prison because that's my lot, because that's what God thinks of me, because that's who I am, because that's just how life is. There's still a shred of kind of hope. Call it denial, call it hope, call it identity. There was something that was still running slightly oppositional to your experience of life at that point. What do you make of that? And do you still recognize that in you now, that part that you never
Yeah.
quite lost?
I always just, and I don't know what it is. In those times, I wanted to end my life so many times. I did not want to exist. I did not want to live. I wanted to die so many times, but there was always just something keeping me going. Whether it's my guides or there was someone, it wasn't my time. None of it was my time, and I was carried forward by some kind of strength that got me through that. And it's like the fighting strength in me, and I will always keep fighting. And I did then, even though I could have given up at any time. Um, but there was always just something in me. I didn't know what at that time. I mean, now looking back on the journey that I'm on, I know that there was always that little girl in there, that little girl that was fighting to be seen and that was fighting to love and be loved. And that's all it was. The little girl that just wanted to love herself and for people to love her. She's still there now. But yeah, there was
I
always that
love
little
her.
fight in me.
How did you deal with the whole still having this in you? How did you deal with being in prison, having massive withdrawals, not feeling
Mm,
like you really belonged there? Like it wasn't like a fair cop, this was always built into my future because you didn't feel like that, right? So
no.
it was like, how did you kind of deal with all of that? What was that like for you?
So then I made the best of it, which I always do. I always turn it around. So after the sentence, because I'd spent on remand, I think I'd been in there for about 8 months waiting for sentence. So at that point, I was clean. I was off the drugs, which obviously you're just thrown into cold turkey. It's like, and you get some counselling. So I actually had a really nice counsellor, I remember, and he used to always ring my mum and dad and let them know how I were and things. And then after the sentencing, obviously I was sedated for about 3 days. The doctor just sedated me because I couldn't cope, so I slept for 3 days, and then yeah,
And
once life
that's for
settled
the
in.
withdrawals, is it? The
No,
sedation?
no, no. The sedation, I'd withdrawn quite a long time, but the sedation was the shock. I came
Oh,
back and
okay.
I couldn't cope. It was like, I couldn't process that it was what it had said. It was awful. I remember the panic and obviously my head, heart, gut, like, oh, my nervous system was just like, how, I couldn't process it. So they
Yeah.
needed to just relax me to let me real process it. And then I just decided, like, next time I saw my, counsellor, my drug counsellor, who we saw weekly, I just said I need to be away from here because I was in a prison in Wakefield. Um, but it was like everyone was coming in and out all the time, the same people, and it was just awful seeing the thing, and I didn't want to be in there, so I asked to be sent to a rehab unit. I knew there was a rehab unit in Durham, and I said I want to go to the rehab unit. I want
Is
to be
that
there.
a rehab and prison together, or just rehab, or
Yeah.
what's that?
So how they work it, it's Durham Prison, but it's got a rehab unit in it, so it's separate from the main prison, and people just specifically go to this rehab unit, and it's run separately. But it's kind of a bit like, I've never done the AA 12 steps, but it's a little bit like that. You go into a program and you climb up these steps and you work with them, but it's like daily meetings. And so yeah, so I went there. I knew I was moving away from home. At this point, my mum and dad were visiting me again, and people were visiting me again. So it was a big thing to move quite far away from home. But I just knew I had to make some changes. I knew this was it. It was never going to happen again. I knew I needed to do what I needed to do. So I went there, did the rehab. I did my MVQs in the gym. I got some qualifications. And I then started mentoring people that were coming in on the program. So you kind of rise up yourself. Got up there and then went to an open prison for the end of my sentence in York.
What does that mean?
Open prison.
Open.
So
Mm.
it's basically like still a prison, but you're allowed to then go out and work in the community. So
Yeah.
like I worked in a hotel, so you still get paid for it, but they put some money aside for you, and it's like a step into going home. And then you can go home on a weekend and stuff then. So I used to go home on weekends, and so you've still got to be in at a certain time, got to be there. And but it's just a little bit, it's like just the step towards preparing you to go home, because when you've been incarcerated for such a long time, it's quite a difficult step to then step into the big wide world, really.
How long was you actually in there? So if the sentence for 5.5 years, I know normally people don't serve the whole sentence. Like, what was it for
No,
you?
it was 2 years, 9 months.
Okay.
So I served 2 year, 9 month. Um, yeah, and then but sorted myself out, got a little job, repaired relationships with my parents.
So you really used that
Yeah,
well. You treat it like a college and a rehab, and you used it to repair
yeah,
relationships. You used it to start mentoring others and climb a ladder within there to be of service.
yeah. Forever the helper, forever the type two. I will help people wherever I go, even when I'm at rock bottom. Yeah, forever the helper. But yeah, I always do that. I always try to strive for more, and that's what I knew I had to do. That was enough was enough. That part of my life was done.
Yeah. Is there anything else that I'm not asking about that period of your life that you want to talk about? Because I don't know anything about prison life apart from what I've seen on like Orange is the New Black or whatever. The
It's
odd
horrific.
movie here and
It's
there.
horrific. It's horrific. It's awful. It's awful. I went in there a very naive, soft, gentle girl. Again, talking Enneagram types, I went in a type 2, which is here to help people, want to be kind to everyone. It's like everybody's lovely. We live in this love bubble. Went in there as that. The first day, someone tried to take my basically you get given an allowance and you get to go to a shop once a week and you can buy tobacco. I smoke tobacco, chocolate. You can spend your money. So my mum and dad used to send me money in every week called the canteen. So the first time I went, I got my canteen robbed off me. So my whole week's supplies got robbed off me by some girls. And then they tried to take it off me a second time. And I've never had a fight in my life, but my gob's always scared people off pretty much. And then I had to step up because I thought I can't do this long for like this. And yeah, so I just stood up for myself and then just kept myself to myself. Still never had any fights, but yeah, it's brutal. It's full of really messed up people that just all need so much help, and there's not much help for them in there. They just lock them away and then let them out again. So yeah, but again, like anything, I ended up meeting a core group of friends, and I found my tribe, so to speak, like you always do, and then it was okay. And then I think when you're in for a long time, people start to respect you a little bit more. Then so, but it was brutal to start with. It was horrible. Would not
Yeah,
recommend
but
TripAdvisor.
I would not recommend TripAdvisor.
It's a definite thumbs down to anyone watching this.
Um, uh, it just amazes me how, how not just how far you've come, but how you are so normal. I don't know if that's the right word, but so
That's
relatable. So, like, I would never guess in a million years that you'd gone through all of that. I would never, ever, ever guess that.
it always comes
Never.
as quite a shock to people.
Yeah. Yeah. Whatever you've done has worked. And we haven't even really got into the hardest parts of all
That's
of it
just the
yet.
start of my
This
trauma.
is literally the start of it, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
Um, do you feel like you want to move on to the next
Yeah, yeah,
chapter or the
yeah,
next
yeah,
phase? So you've been
yeah.
released from prison. First of all, what was that like being released? Like when
Oh,
it was like done, it's not open prison, it's done. What was that like?
yeah. Um, yeah. Freeing. It was like, yeah, wow. Weird though, weird. I remember sitting on, I mean, again, my amazing parents who stood by me, and, I went home, they took me home and they were there to pick me up. Yeah, so like we celebrated and then, but it was weird. I remember sitting on my bed that night when I went to bed, crying, like crying, thinking, I don't know what to do now. I don't know what to do because I didn't know when my meal time, do you know what I mean? It like I'd come from this thing of knowing what we're doing to now being out and like, shit, what do I do? So it was again another big transition. But yeah, we got there eventually. I mean, like I always say, I couldn't have done any of this life without my amazing parents. They've always been by my side, no matter what. So yeah, thanks to them, we
Yeah.
just got on with it really, and I ended up getting a job, a great little job, a little office job that I actually was in for 19 years. Yeah, met some lovely people there, again, got stuck in and really did my best at what I could do. Um, yeah,
What
so
job
yeah,
was it,
so I did.
Sam? I'm just curious. I've never
Oh,
asked you that before.
well, it was customer services really. So I've always been pretty good at sort of office admin. So it was just working in customer services, but so working in an office. Um,
19 years.
19 years I spent there, yeah. Loved it, and I hope if anyone's watching, it was some of the best years of my life. We had a lovely little team of people and just typical office banter. We were great in office, going out getting pissed and stuff like that. It were a real happy time and a lovely, good easy job, where I again tried my hardest at doing. So yeah, it was nice. So 19 years I stayed there.
So you'd already gone through like a big transformation at this point, right?
Yeah,
This was if you was just living a like quote unquote normal life, doing normal things, doing all of that, like the big transformation had already taken place.
yeah.
Um, but obviously at this point, life wasn't sure you'd had enough, and you had a big calling, and you needed a little more. You needed to go through more to become who you are now. So you were soon to meet your future husband at this point, right?
Yeah, yeah. So I met him, Pez. I'll name Pez. I don't mind naming Pez. Richard Perry it was, but Pez for short. Um, I met him pretty quickly after my release, to be honest. Met him in a local pub. He asked me what my. He came up to me, was drunk in this pub, and I was like sat there going, "Oh, here we go," another idiot. Sat next to me, and he asked me what my favourite sandwich was. So I like said, "What do you mean? What's my favourite sandwich?" And he's like. So we stopped and he went, "No, I really want to know what your favourite sandwich is. I love food and I want to know what your favourite sandwich is." And anyone that knows Pez knows he lived for food. He loved food. So yeah, that's where that started. I told him what my favourite sandwich was, ham and cheese. And then that love affair started.
You and ham and cheese, or you and Pez?
Me and ham and cheese and Pez, yeah. um, so yeah, again, that went pretty quickly. I remember I moved in with him quickly, so the anxious attachment was still very strong. Me wanting my one, oh, I've finally found someone to love me. I've got him, and I'm safe. So, but he was the same. He fell head over heels in love with me, and it went quick. And yeah, I moved in with him pretty quickly. He was a drinker, but then I was a drinker again. It's kind of like the life circles that time was drinking, even it's sort of lessened a bit now, hasn't it? But in that era, it was everyone just went out and got pissed, which was again
Yeah.
good. Yeah, then yeah, we bought our own house together and then got married in 2007. We had a beautiful wedding in Paphos.
How old were you when you
Oh,
got married? But to save me doing the maths.
oh, so 2007. I was born in 76, 86, 96. 2006, so 31 when I got married.
Yeah. So this is like about a decade after you were first sentenced.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yes,
yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
So you spent like the first 3 years of that decade incarcerated, and then the
yeah,
7 years was like working in the office, having and so okay. I'm just kind of building the
yeah.
timeline as we go along. Okay.
Yeah, yeah, no, that's fine. So yeah, we got married in Paphos. All our friends and family came out. It was amazing. We had like a week-long holiday. It was so fab.
Beautiful
Um,
pictures. I love your
yeah,
wedding
yeah.
pictures.
Well, funnily enough, I sent you the picture, didn't I? I just logged on to Facebook today, just in preparation for this, and there was just a picture of me and him at the wedding. I thought, well, that's a sign that he's here. Um, yeah, got married, and then yeah, that was it. We were just settled in then, and then a year later fell pregnant with my first son, Reese Peasy. So yeah, that was 2008. I gave birth to Reese.
Was Reese planned? Were you guys looking to have a kid? Did you choose to have a
Oh
kid?
yeah.
Yeah.
Pez didn't mind so much. He always used to say that if he'd have met a woman that didn't want kids, he'd have been more than happy not having kids. So
Okay.
it
Yeah.
wasn't kind of, I don't want to have kids, but it was like, oh, right, if you want them, we'll have them. But yeah, I've always, from being a baby, well, being
Yeah.
a child, wanted to be a mum. That's all I've
Yeah.
ever wanted. I loved babies. I just wanted to be a mum. It was in me. So yeah, we were trying straight away after getting married, and yeah, fell on pretty quickly with Reese. Yeah, so then gave birth to him in 2008.
Right. I just want to say at this point, I love Reese. What a beautiful soul he is. I've never, it's just, I always think of that Christmas when he was getting really excited for
Yeah,
Charlie, for my
yeah,
son
yeah,
who
yeah.
was like, what, 1, 2 years old. He was only really, really little when he
He's
was
only
one, I
little then,
think.
wasn't
You were
he?
going,
Yeah,
Charlie, Santa's going to come and bring you loads of presents. And they were really excited for Charlie. That really warmed my heart. That did.
yeah.
I love him for that. Um, but then this was it. You gave birth to your beautiful son, and also another whole arena and world of different types of challenges. And
Yeah.
you want to talk us through this
Yeah,
next
yeah.
chapter?
So gave birth to Reese. Pregnancy was normal, everything normal. Gave birth to him normal. Yeah, no complications at all. And then even when he was little, he was my first child as well. Had he been my second, I would have known straight away. But as he was growing, everything was fine, but he just wasn't meeting any milestones. Like, for instance, he couldn't pick a cup up and put it to his mouth. It were, I'm reading all these baby books going, oh, he's not doing this. And so anyway, the thing started of going to the doctors. You have to keep going back for a bit because they just think it could be delays. We don't want to name anything. So anyway, I will speed through this. Yeah, it got to like he couldn't walk. Nobody would tell me anything. It was like I'm like, what is wrong with him? There is something wrong with him. He can't walk. He can't. He was the happiest baby. Don't get me wrong. But he would lay there happy. It was very floppy, and he wouldn't bear weight, which I only know having a second child with Richie literally wanting to stand up the minute he popped out. He wouldn't bear weight on his legs. Anyway, fast forward all the things. He got diagnosed to start with global development delay, because that's kind of when they don't really know what's wrong with them. They'll just say,
Okay.
right, he's got development delay, which he had. Um, he didn't walk until he was 2 year 9 months. He took his first step, so we had to have him in a standing frame, strapped in, blow bubbles at him. He had to put the weight on his legs. So yeah, it was hard. It's still hard, and I went through, I think that was probably like one of the most challenging times for me and Pez. I mean, it's hard for any couple having a baby, because it changes the whole dynamics of the love relationship that you've got. Now this baby's my priority. Yeah, I grieved for the baby, and I don't care what anyone's. This is just my personal. I'm not going to put this into anyone, but I would be very surprised if any parent of a disabled child has not been through the form of grief that I went through. You grieve for the life you thought you was going to have. Um, it's sad, and it's horrible that your baby is not doing the things a baby is able to do. And it took me a lot of years to accept, not accept Reese, obviously, I accepted him, but to accept the fact that he is different. He is different and he will always be different. Pez struggled a lot with that. He just always thought he'd grow out of it. He'll be fine. He'll be fine in a few years. He'll grow out of it. Don't get me wrong. He was the most devoted dad. Loved him. Did things with him, but he struggled. He was just a typical. It'll be all right. But yeah, then went through the diagnosis. So he'll be 18 this year. He's now diagnosed with he's got a rare brain condition, which is CDCBM7, which is cortical dysplasia complex with other brain malformations. Basically, the TUB2B gene in his brain didn't develop fully when I was pregnant. No fault of anyone. Well, as we go on to say, it's not genetic on my part. It could possibly have been genetic on Pez's part, but we never got the chance to do a blood test. So yeah, he just had an abnormal gene in his brain that causes the development delays. He's also got autism. And yeah, so fast forward to him being 18. It's been the most challenging time of my life, but equally pretty rewarding as well. It gives you a whole different level of looking at him. Like you say, he can be the most amazing boy. Equally, he can be really quite challenging, and life is very difficult. I won't lie. I won't sugarcoat it, which I don't. I
Yeah.
advocate it can be challenging, but we do our very best that we can to help his life be as
Yeah. I know, like a lot of us, he struggles with anger, right? But because he can't contain it the way that the rest of us can, that comes
yeah.
out, and that obviously brings challenges because he's getting a big, strong lad in him.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
exactly. And I'm his safe space. I am. I'm the one and only safe space that he knows will love him unconditionally no matter what. So yeah, so that came with its challenges. But then after kind of I was desperate to have, we were desperate to have another baby. We always wanted to have another one. So we tried when Reese was younger. And then I
How,
ended up,
how, how old was Reese at this point when you
um,
went back in?
I'd say we would started trying for another one, probably when he was about, oh, again, I lose all track of timelines. Oh gosh, I'd say it was about 2 or 3, I think.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah. So it's
roughly.
toddler age, yeah.
Yeah, so little. So started trying, but then I ended up having 3 miscarriages back to back. Um, which again, it's like really raising awareness for them because they were so traumatic. It was awful. It's like they were all under 12 weeks, so you know, but that takes such a toll on a person, on a couple,
Yes.
on a family. It's like you've got this life in you for a lot of weeks and then it's dead. And that is awful. And I'll never forget on the last one, the last miscarriage, like literally broke me. I remember taking the little fully formed fetus wrapped in a tissue paper to the hospital and saying, "Do you think it's dead?" You know, and it was, I remember seeing this baby, this full baby, tiny, tiny baby. And my mum took me again. And yeah, that kind of broke me, that one. Well, they all broke me, but I don't think you ever come back from things like that because then it was the whole, oh, what's wrong with me? What's wrong with me? Why can't I have a baby? You know, it's something wrong. It's my fault. Or we'll never have another baby because Reese was disabled, and that's it now. It's because he's disabled, and so then we went for testing. We both. I get why they work it, but you've got to have 3 miscarriages to then be able to go for testing for fertility testing, and nothing was wrong with us. And then we stopped drinking, funnily enough, and then fell pregnant again. And and yeah, and then that was my little rainbow baby. At that point, we were in the system to be able to get tested regularly. We went for weekly scans to start, and then we knew it was a viable pregnancy. We got past the 12-week mark, and then they even did, when he was fully developed in my womb, they did a brain scan on him to check that his brain there was no abnormalities. And yeah, yeah, there was no abnormality, so we knew he wasn't going to be disabled either, which was just like, as much as we love Reese, it was like, oh, amazing.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
so
Because
yeah,
obviously having twice
yeah,
the amount of devotion, dedication you need to give to
yeah,
a child with special needs would have been crippling. It'd been,
yeah,
obviously twice as difficult.
exactly.
So this is at the point when you started to be able to like celebrate. You've got a
Yeah,
healthy baby. It's past the kind of the ordinary risk phase. I know things can still happen further along, but
yeah.
this is where the celebration started to happen, right? I take
Yeah,
it,
yeah.
right? You
Yeah,
guys,
Pez was like, oh, because he loved golf. It was like, I can't wait to take him golfing and I'll take him to football. And we knew it was a boy as well at this point. I was mortified. I wanted a girl. I remember ringing him from the scan because I went with my mum going, it's a boy. I wanted a girl. And crying. And he's going, oh my God, it's a boy. And I'm going, no, I wanted a girl. Anyway, so yeah, it was very excited to meet his son. Yeah.
yeah. And then life,
And then,
and then
so
we went
I
into
was,
another.
yeah, I went into another trauma. So when I was 32 weeks pregnant, so big belly, yeah, got a knock on the door. I remember I was cooking beans on toast for Reese for his tea. He was running in the garden, and got a knock on the door, and there was 2 policemen there. Suppose had gone to work that morning, kissed me goodbye, gone to work, and 2 policemen knocked at the door. I'm like, oh, because given my shady past, I looked out of the window and I'm like, oh my God, what are police doing here? I mean, I
Yeah,
knew I hadn't obviously broken any laws, but I'm like, when you're thinking, is it something I've done before? I'm like, oh my God,
yeah, yeah,
that's not me anymore. Anyway, let them in. Are you Mrs. Perry? Is your husband Richard? I'm like, yeah, yeah. Why? What's wrong? We've got something to tell you. Can you sit down? I'm like, no, I don't want to sit down. What's wrong? What's wrong? It's about Richard. Um, basically, he fell through a roof at work and died. Yeah, he worked for a plastic fabricating company and he was always trying to help everyone and worked in a very hot shop floor. Went up on the roof. It was a really old-fashioned roof with little skylights, and he took some vinyl up with someone to stick over the skylights to stop the heat coming in. So he was up there all day, stuck the vinyl over all the windows, and on the last window there was a bubble in it, and being the perfectionist he was, he leaned over to smooth the bubble out and fell through the window and fell to his death. Died instantly.
Wow. I just want to let that breathe a minute. 32 weeks pregnant at home with Reese, who had quite severe special needs, and this was just dawning on you quite a lot around this time, right? You were really starting to know what your future might start to look like. You were getting more and more clarity.
Yeah.
You're heavily pregnant. Just celebrated. Everything's good, and then a knock at the door, and then you get hit with that. Like, what the fuck do you do with that? Pardon my French. Like, what?
I just remember I was stood there and I put my hands on my belly and I just looked at the policemen, these amazing policemen. They stayed all day. They were so lovely. And I just looked and I said, my baby? I'm having a baby. And they were like, is the baby okay? Do we need to take you to hospital? I was like, no, it's fine, but I'm having a baby. I'm having a baby. And they were like, okay. And I was just like, but I'm having a baby. And I were like, I need my mum. I need my mum and my dad. I need my mum and dad. They were like, we'll go get them. I went, no, I'll ring them. I'll ring them. And I'll never forget the call. And my mum answered and like, just saying to a mum, this policeman here, and I don't know what they're saying because they're telling me that Pez is dead, and he's not dead. He doesn't go on roofs, and I need mum met these police go away, and they were there within God. I just heard my mum going, Tony, just get in the car, get in the car. They were there within seconds, and I just collapsed. I just collapsed, and that was it. And it was just then, it was just like, yeah, every people coming, going, talking, and I was just there.
In
It was
shock.
like, you see these things of people whizzing by and you're just there, like in really slow motion, like, I don't even know what's going on here. So, yeah.
What happens after? How do you? Yeah, did that most of that get locked away until more recently when you've
Yeah.
started going into it, or did you go through
Yeah.
big
Yeah.
stages of grieving, or what?
No, no. I just locked it away. I went on autopilot like I do. Obviously, I was pregnant. I was so petrified that someone would. I was so scared because there was no way. I just couldn't believe how I could be feeling such pain and this wouldn't affect my son. I just
Yeah,
could not imagine how what was going on would not affect him inside me. And I was like, the midwife sent me for a scan because I couldn't eat much to start with. My mum just kept like giving me shakes and things to get in me, and the midwife sent me for a scan because I was just worried, and we went for a scan and everything was fine. But so I knew I was going to give birth, and so I just autopiloted it. I planned the funeral. I booked a DJ. I made a playlist of all his favorite songs to play at this. We had a celebration of his life. We had a party. I picked the most beautiful dress to wear, and I'll never forget. I laugh about it. But I'll never forget in the shop us trying dresses on, and this woman going, "Oh my God, you look so beautiful!" And I was like, "It's for my husband's funeral," and everyone was just like, no one knew how to
yeah.
be. I had my hair done, my nails painted red, and yeah, and we buried him, and he was cremated, and we celebrated his life, and then I gave birth to my son. Um, not on my own. My mum and my best friend at the
Yeah.
time was there with me.
Did you
They,
did you move in with your parents, or did they move in with you, or
my
what
mum
did you
moved
do?
in with me,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
So, like I said, they just I'd have been lost without them. So yeah, my mum ended up living with me for about 9 months to a year, I think. 'Cause obviously, I
yeah.
had the baby. My dad would have reset his a couple of nights to give us a rest. But yeah, my mum moved in with me, and her work were amazing, and so she was by my side all the time. But I had so many people by my side. I was really supported. I'd never say I wasn't. There was so many people around, and yeah, gave
Of
birth to
course.
little Richie, who was going to be called was it Archie Jack, Archie Jack. But yeah, then Pez died, so I've called him Richard Perry. So little Richie was born, and the minute he
Also
was
another
born,
beautiful little soul.
oh, the minute he was born, I knew he'd been sent to save me. I was like, he had these biggest eyes, and he never cried, and he just looked at me as if to say, "I'm here," and I'm like, "Oh, yeah." And then I broke.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you mentioned that after that, there was a period where you turned to escapism. You had to do something, right? If you're not
Yeah.
processing that and you've locked all that away, you need some pretty intensely strong coping strategies to get through all of that
Yeah.
were locked in. So what was that like? What was your? I know you said you drank
Yeah.
more for a while, and yeah,
So
what was
yeah,
going
it
on
was
there?
it was mainly alcohol. I mean, and don't get me wrong, I didn't become like a raging alcoholic, like drinking from
Yeah,
morning to night. I was working,
yeah.
I started playing netball. I love my netball, so I had a really good, I was into my fitness, I was working, obviously bringing up Richie, but I would have a drink on a weekend, and that was kind of like my coping strategy. Um,
Stay
but
busy,
yeah,
drink some
keeping
booze.
busy. That's what I did. I kept busy. I kept
Yeah.
really busy, to not really think about it. And I was like, I'm fine now. It's fine, And then, yeah. So, and then I did after sort of 18 months after Pez. No, a couple of years after Pez had died. I did get in another relationship, which was lovely to start with. And again, no, I just wasn't healed. We just weren't. We were great to start with. We just weren't for each other as we moved on. So I was in that relationship for 6 years. And yeah, I had some happy times, but then it just developed, well, as it does when a relationship isn't right. I realized I was hitting spiral after spiral of repeating patterns, things repeating all the time. And then that sort of all came to a bit of a culmination in around the time I met you, Mickey.
Well, before you met me as well, you did something that I think it sounds ridiculous to say it in these words after everything you went through, but I think it's quite heroic when you just left your job of 19, nearly 20 years and started up
Oh,
your own business, living your own
got that.
lifestyle, doing the thing that you cared about, clubber size, partying, taking care of a load of ladies, doing your thing right. Like,
Yeah.
this is a
Yeah, I
big
forgot about
this was a
that bit.
big part of
Yeah.
your transformation
Yeah.
as well, right? You not only pulled yourself through all of that, used
Yeah.
the prison time to grow and learn and get that's where you learned to be a PT, right? It was,
No, no,
oh no,
no.
you
I did
said
like the
something similar.
MVQs. Yeah, I did
NVQ.
my MVQ in gym. So yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
started
that was
delving
it.
in then. But yeah, I forgot about that bit, and it's really important. So yeah, about 2020. So it was COVID actually. Um, so yeah, I got furloughed from my job. So obviously COVID hit, and I was furloughed on full pay. And I kind of knew then the business that I was in, it was going downhill. There were people getting made redundant. I knew it was a slippery slope, but they
Yeah.
kept me till the very end. Love them. So grateful to you guys if you're watching this as well. They kept me till the very end. I was a highly respected um,
Yeah.
member of employment, and I worked hard. I always do.
You've
Let's
earned your
not forget
stripes
about
after nearly 20 years.
yeah,
Yeah.
so yeah, and yeah, so it was COVID, and I remember being furloughed on full pay. It was mental for us all, wasn't it? It was like, oh my God, what is even going on here? Let's just drink and. And then I was just like, I don't want to go back there. I can't go back there. As amazing as they were, and really, really happy with appointments for Reese, there was a lot of things for Reese that had to go on, and I just knew I wanted to work for myself. I had no idea. And my partner at the time, to be fair, helped me out a lot because he was quite into his fitness. And I'm like, what can I do? And he's like, well, why don't you be a PT? And I'm like, how can I
Right.
be a PT? It's like I like my fitness, and he's like, well, you can, and you can set garage up, and that can be a gym. And I'm like, oh, so anyway, trained to like I say, I was just like, okay, let's be a PT. Yeah, did the training while I was furloughed, did it online, and then once the gyms opened up, could finish my exams. And then that's where, so I'd moved as well by this point, moved to a lovely little village that I live in now because I just needed to be away from the family home.
Yeah.
Moved to a lovely little village. Didn't know why I'd moved here, but it's beautiful. It's got fields around us and lovely, lovely out in nature. So yeah, and then that's where I knew my job was a job. I was good at my job, but it wasn't feeding my soul. It wasn't what my soul needed. And it was at that point I was starting to, what do I really want to do? What is my purpose? Why am I here? What do I need to do? And it was to help women, to help
Yeah.
people. So that's why I became a PT. And then it sort of developed from there. I had no idea what I was going to do. But then I was furloughed for quite a while. When my manager came to get me back to work, I said, look, can you make me redundant? You know, because I knew it, and he's happily did. So I got a little bit of redundancy pay, and I'm like, right, now what do I do? It's like I'd never run a business, never done anything on my own. So I set up my own business and and started doing that again, and did
I love
very
that you
well.
chose clubber size as well, like just
I've done a few
to have
different
fun.
things. I started off with a thing called Strong Nation, which is like a hardcore, like Les Mills, come on, let's have it kind of thing. I don't think my old bones would take that anymore. So yeah, then I found Clubber Size, and it was like, oh my God, it's like my raving days. I get to dance on stage. Yeah, and I do sort of 2-to-1 PT sessions, online challenges. So that's where I started with the nurturing of helping women, basically.
Yeah, and this is where I see this thread that, there was like you performing, but then as you got more healthy and well, it was like this, you're really protective, out. You've got really good, strong, protective. It's like maternal. Um, I can tell that you've been like a mum and a dad at the same time. So you've got the really deep maternal and a really strong protective at the same time.
Mm,
Like you're fulfilling these roles really, really well, like both of them.
yeah.
Um, I know this is how you speak about your ladies. They're my
My
ladies, like you're
ladies. Hi, ladies.
100%,
My ladies.
100% in their corner all the time. You never say anything that's less than, awesome about them. You're always singing their praises. And I know they're a big part of your life and probably
Yeah,
your healing journey and your purpose. And
yeah.
yeah, this is so important to you. And I can see that it radiates a mile, and you're one of the most magnetic people I've ever met in that. And I think this is why it's like people know that when you're in their corner, you are so deeply in their corner.
Yeah.
There's no going back, like that they're one of your people, and that is really magnetic. And I see that and I love that about you. And that's why, you've been through so much, and I see that you alchemizing this now. And
Mm,
I can only imagine how far you could take this if you really want to take this far. I can see it. I can see the path. You're
mhm.
amazing, and people want to hear you. And now you've finally kind of really opened this up to let
Yeah.
people know the whole story. I can only imagine that it's going to help even more inspire people at an even deeper level.
Mm,
Um, so yes, the healing journey started. So I think like a lot of people, you go through the trauma, you have the trauma, and then you want to get well. So you start leaning more to personal development, getting in shape, start your own business. There's a
mm.
journey happening where you're listening to your calling, you're listening to yourself, starting to live life on your own terms, make choices for you, transformations happening. And then what was your kind of gateway into spirituality then? Before I met you, you must have already been doing it in some way or leaning into it.
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, I'd like delved into, I love clairvoyancy, having readings, tarot. I've never done anything myself, but like delved into a bit of meditation,
Okay.
I mean, like obviously calming the nervous system really helped. Um, and then yeah, so I was always seeking for something more, and I didn't know what. So I tried lots of different things, and then suddenly, Mickey, a little Facebook post popped up, and it was yours. In fact, it was my lovely friend Saba that shared your post, and I was like, oh, this looks interesting. And then yeah, that's that journey. That was the beginning
Oh,
really
okay.
that catapulted me. That was
And
like,
so I
right.
wasn't sure if you'd already been dabbling and doing a bit of receiving other kind of healing and stuff like that.
No, I think I've been for
Okay.
like Reiki. And in fact, sorry, no, I did. I had a lovely lady after Pez died who did Reiki on me. So I'd
Okay.
been receiving Reiki. So I'd been receiving energy healing, knew how much. And she actually said to me, I don't know if she'll watch this, she might do. I still see her now, to be honest, for some other things. And she said to me at one point that I will do Reiki one day. This is just after Pez died. And I was like, I'm not sure about that, Shirley. I'm like, oh, look at me now. So yeah, so funnily enough, these synchronicities. Um, but yeah, then obviously I met you, and then Enneagram changed my world, I would say, and you and Emma, of course. So yeah,
So finding spirituality isn't just laying there, just
yeah.
receiving some nice
Oh
healing and
God.
oh yes, this is amazing, right?
Oh my
I'm just
God.
looking at time. We've got about
Yeah,
15 minutes left.
yeah.
But what's your healing journey been like? If you can kind of bring
A little bit short on time here, but how can I describe my healing journey? like I've been ripped apart and pieced back together, tiny bit by
Yeah.
bit. Yeah, it's not been easy. It's been hard. And like I always say to ladies I'm working with now, listen, it's going to get hard because you've got to let it be, it's got to be hard. Because I understand that basically the traumas I've been through. So we've all heard of the Pandora's box, haven't we? We lock them down, we repress them, and they're there. So you either can think of it like a Pandora's box, or like I think like peeling back layers of an onion. You know, it's like this trauma is so deep. So for me, it wasn't until I started really deeply on on my spiritual journey that I even started thinking about Pez dying. But then it went back to more. Pez dying was this surface level one, and then it went deeper and deeper, and the drugs and I'd carried so much guilt, shame about my past. Like, this is why I wanted to speak out fully about that today, to let go of this guilt and shame. There is no guilt and shame. It's me that's making myself feel like that. And I don't need to anymore. So that's why I needed to be open. But yeah, so my healing journey has literally been facing my demons, facing my shadows, letting those skeletons out of the closet. It's been hard, as you've shared every step of it with me. So learning the Enneagram, learning my personality type has helped me to peel back the layers. So all
Yeah.
this last year, so it's been about 2.5 years now, but again, it feels like forever, doesn't it? Like
Yeah.
going on retreats, you know, working with the plant medicine to help me get deeper and deeper. Because I am, as you obviously know, maybe people don't know, but I'm kind of you know, go deep kind of girl. If I'm doing something, I'm doing it right, and I'm going in with the best of my ability. I'm not surface level. I'm doing it.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's been my journey. I'm peeling back the layers, and do you know what? Piecing myself back together is what this journey is all about.
Yeah.
It's not about getting rid of things. It's not about shedding. We talk about letting go because what we're letting go of is the beliefs that we have about ourselves that are untrue.
Yeah.
You know, I had so many parts of me that I'd abandoned. I hated that part of me.
Yeah.
You were horrible, and I brought her home. It's about piecing
Yeah.
me back together,
Yes.
and most of all, it's about
Reclaiming those parts of yourself.
yeah,
Yeah.
and this part makes me really emotional because by piecing those pieces back together and peeling back this trauma and letting go bit after bit, I love myself. I fully and absolutely love myself. I love me. I've been on my own now for 2.5 years. And that's, I've never been on my own. I've always had to be in a relationship. I have worked so hard on myself. You know, I've let go of so much. And the most important thing that I've done, I think, is allowed myself to be vulnerable, which is what I'm doing now. I've always been so guarded. What did you say, Mickey, first time you ever met me? What
I
was that?
put my hands over you, went, oh, it's prickly.
Oh, you're prickly.
Quite prickly, this energy, yeah.
And I was, I think,
And it's
because it
funny you should
reached.
say that because someone else calls me prickly as well.
Yeah. Yeah, and it was what I want people to see. So I suppose we're going towards the end now. My why to do this, my why to come out to share. Because what we do as women, you know, nobody has to go through. You don't have to have gone through the traumas I've gone through because they've been pretty horrific. You know,
Thank
it's like,
God.
yeah, it's been hard. But anything can cause a trauma, and when you block it in and you don't speak about it, you don't voice it, you don't see it, you trap in it, and then you just go on and on and on, and you just trap, and it's got to come out at some time. You will keep repeating these spirals of unhappiness until you get to a point where you break, and you will break at some point. So yeah, so my healing journey has been all about that, meeting some, do you know, it's been life changing. The family I've got now, the friends I've made, I've let go of so much. I have really let go of a lot of things, even stopped drinking fully last
Just
year.
over a year ago,
That's
right?
a massive thing, yeah. Being because again, the drink was just my escape. It was like my escape to not deal and fully. So I fully stopped just over a year ago now, and it was the best decision ever because what I've learned about me is I've got a very addictive personality. You know, if it's not one thing, it's another. So it was just time to let go of all those addictions and look after myself. So
You're a
yeah,
very all-in kind of person, aren't you? When you're in, you're all in.
I am. Yeah,
Which has been your kryptonite and also the biggest blessing ever because like your healing journey, you're all in on that as well.
yeah.
Your the way you serve others, you're all in on that as well, heart and soul, every single part of you, you know. And I
Yeah.
think it's the same for all of us. Whatever is the stone in our shoe that's causing us like the most pain or annoyance or suffering is actually a superpower that can be reapplied somewhere else. And, this is what you've
Yeah.
demonstrated loads in everything you've shared today.
Yeah.
I just want to mention before time's up as well, you're having acknowledged all this and really brought this to the surface, and you've been thinking about it more and talking about it, you've actually moved into the thing that you've just done in Leeds, the charity thing. Do you want to talk a little bit about that and just and
Yeah.
give a bit of a
Yeah. Yeah. Thanks for bringing that up. I
yeah,
completely
yeah.
forgot about that. So, going back to my first love, who I won't name names, he wasn't obviously. I went into prison for a very long time, and we parted company by then. But then it was, I think, when Reese was about 2 or 1. Anyway, again, I forget times. I got a phone call from my dad telling me that he died. He ended up living on the streets. He was homeless. He was in a bad way. I was like, people telling me, oh, you never guess who we've seen on the streets. And he was in a really bad way. And he ended up getting beaten up on the streets and he died. He was, oh gosh, I forget ages. And he will have been in his 40s, I think, late 40s when he died. And yeah, that broke me a little bit because I was married then. And that was again another wow, how lucky was I, that I managed to turn my life around. Not many people do. So yeah, as Mickey was saying, I just recently have started volunteering with the Homeless Street Angels in Leeds, an amazing charity. I've been once, I went last time, but I've booked in to go and volunteer regularly with them, who walk around the streets of Leeds. These people are all volunteers. They don't get funded for this charity. They rely totally on donations from people. And I wasn't sure how I would be, but I wanted to do this because I think for so much of my life, I blamed him. I hated him for where I got to. But it's only since going on my journey, I couldn't blame anyone because it was all me. I had the choice. Yes, I was a naive, silly girl who didn't want to say no to anyone to keep them happy, but it wasn't his fault. He was the same. He was just sucked into this horrible drug. So yeah, I wanted to do it for him, and this is why I wanted to do this as well, to give him a voice, to give him a voice because he was an amazing man and it was such a loss of life. He had so many talents and he was my first love and I will never forget him. But yeah, so I've started volunteering with the homeless and I absolutely loved it. We go around with these trolleys and we walk around and you have never met such beautiful people as these poor people who live on the streets with nothing, that you've never felt gratitude in your life. I was hugging them that were telling me the story and they were so grateful for everything. So if anyone wants to donate to any charities, I couldn't recommend this one enough. I'm taking donations
Can you
for
just
the
tell us the name of it again?
it's the homeless street angels.
Homeless
They're
Street
based in
Angels.
Leeds. Yeah, you can find them on Facebook. Yeah, so like the tech things like sleeping bags, because the thing is as well with the poor people that live in the streets, it's if they leave anything unattended, the council just throw it away. I suppose they can't leave everything lying around, but and these people are living. There was one guy on the street shivering, sat down, and we wrapped him up and give him some gloves. And yeah, anyway, it really, I thought it had been massively emotional, as in sad. And it, don't get me wrong, it was emotional, but it was nice as well to actually think, I'm giving this person a little bit of kindness and there by the grace of God go I, because that could have been me. And it
Yeah,
was someone I loved deeply and he
yeah.
didn't get to get out. So yeah, so it feels really nice to be able to do that.
I just love how much you acknowledge the grace as well, because there's got to be a bit of grace in there as well, aren't there? It's, we can't take full credit always for everything. It's like, it's
Mm,
you, your strength, your power, your soul, and all of that, plus grace,
yeah.
plus God, plus whatever name you want to give that,
Yeah.
some sort of
Universe,
divine
God, but
guidance.
all this journey, and it's like I know now because I connect with it now. I never did before, but now that I'm on this journey and I can connect with the divine, with God, with whatever, this is what's carried me through, and this
Yeah,
here now is where all these paths have led me to. This being out, being public, opening up, and helping people is this is where my journey is meant to be, and there was always no matter how hard it's been, no matter how hard life is, I think the message I want to give to people is there's always hope. And, I've been to the depths of despair. And I mean, I can't even tell you how difficult my life was because there's just no words. You would have had to live it, and you would have to have been in my heart to see how that made me feel. But there's always hope, and there's always hope, and there's always somebody there that can help you. And sorry. I guess my reason for doing this is to make people see that no matter how hard life is or how difficult it seems, if you just reach out, there's people there that can help you. And I'm one of them, if anybody wants to reach out for help. Sorry.
Angels are everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Um, I'll just give you a minute just to.
thank you.
Uh,
Feels
as
really
we go into the
big.
last few minutes, do you want to let people know, like, who are you helping at the moment and what are you helping them with? I know you're just kind of moving. You've started to build a community, aren't you? The Warrior Queen
Yeah,
Sanctuary.
yeah. So I've got I am doing my fitness, so I'm still working as a PT and helping women, and I've got an online challenge at the minute. But I've actually, yeah, I'm really stepping into my spiritual side as well, because throughout being a PT and fitness, helping women with fitness, it's easy to say, right, here's your exercise, do that. But mentally, and I know because I've lived it, I've been that girl that's yo-yo dieted every January. Right, that's it, new year, new me. I haven't lost a stone in a week, therefore I've given up. That's it. I'm not doing it. I'm eating loads of shit again. So I know all this that I give to people is what I've lived. It's like this is my experience. Sorry, my dog's just coming in. So yeah, I learned that it's all in the mind as well. If the mind's not ready, the body never will be. So for me, it's a whole. I'm now stepping into bringing a whole mind, body, soul into it. So I've got a free community. It's through school. It's called Warrior Queen Sanctuary. If anyone wants to message me if they're not in, but it's a free community. Everything's free in it. It's relatively new, but I've got quite a few ladies in there at the minute. So we do things like we talk about gratitude every morning. There's some meditations in there, and I do what you introduced me to, Mickey, IMSI, Integral Mindful Self Inquiry. We do that weekly now, which is a really deep psycho spiritual, deep inner journey into IMSI and Enneagram and what have helped me so much on this journey and got me to where I am today. So yeah, it's just a beautiful space of lovely women. So yeah, I've got two school communities, and that's what I do, and I'm stepping into like one-to-one journeys with women as well who feel called that they need a little bit of a deeper help. So I'm stepping into that role as well soon. So yeah, lots of
Reach out to Sam if you love Sam like the rest of us and you resonate with her story. Honestly, like reach out because once she's got her arms around you, you ain't getting out.
yeah. Once you're in, you're in. You're never
Once
getting
you're
away
in,
from me,
you're in.
by the way.
She's in your corner to the end, to the end. Sam, this has just been absolutely beautiful and an honor, and I love you loads so, so much, sister. Thank you for just being you and for pulling through and being a massive inspiration just for so many people, including myself, and I know for Emma as well. The world needs people like you. It really does, because you lift us all up, and we love you. Thank you.
Oh, thank you so much. I love you so much. And I tell everyone how much I love you, by the way. But yeah, you helped me. I know you don't like me saying you saved me. You didn't save me, but you helped me save myself.
Yeah,
Um, yeah, so I'm forever grateful to you as well. So thank you. And it couldn't have been better you doing this podcast with me. It's like
yeah,
we've
I'm
closed
glad.
this little chapter now and it feels really special. So thank you to everybody that's watched and listened and to
Yeah,
everyone around me watching this that have supported me. And you know who you are, my friends, my parents. I don't know if you'll watch this. I hope you do. But yeah, I love you all so much. You're all part of my life. And I'm so grateful for you. Thank you.
thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Oh, stop now.